and fell face down on the toilet. And her face bounced off the toilet, she still fell to the floor.
How can you say that? I didn't see it. They didn't show it to me. Why he smiles and why he laughs. He remembers those happy moments of life that they spent together.
With Rilyushka, come on, raise your head.
0643.
Raise your head. Come on. Naturally, I couldn't. Well, how could I? But I told her to pack up, we're leaving here.
You refused to testify 5 times.
He drinks it and completely falls into an inadequate state in some way, leaves her, returns and strikes the containers again.
Why couldn't I call an ambulance right away? You call a fortune teller.
It is clear that she is without clothes, without underwear. Maybe somehow my phone was opened, it was all screwed there.
Did you shoot this yourself?
On the 27th of March, 2024 year, a high-profile trial began in the capital of Kazakhstan, Astana. In the West, such cases are called the trials of the century. The interest in the process was initially understandable, since a well-known former official in the country was in the dock. The accused is 44-year-old Kuandyk Bishimbayev, a representative of the Golden Kazakh youth. That small stratum who received all the best from diapers, a good education, and a comfortable life. And when these men are in power today, have neither morality, nor shame, nor conscience, it hurts. Explains the head of the Kazakh human rights organization, Feminita Gulzada Sargent. For Mr. Bishimbayev, this is not the first high-profile trial. For the first time, he managed to get off with quite a little blood. However, this time, due to the huge public outcry and attention to the case from almost the entire population of Kazakhstan, it is likely that he will not be able to escape justice. The uniqueness of this process is that the crimes of an official are not swept under the carpet. Open broadcasts of jury sessions can be seen on the website of the Supreme Court, in the streams of various media on YouTube. This is the first time this has happened in Kazakhstan. Everyone is watching this trial, both children and taxi drivers. And my whole TikTok, every video about this case. Clippings of broadcasts from the courtroom, promotions, flash mobs. I observe such unity for the first time. Basically, everyone empathizes with the victim, but there are some commentators who say that she is to blame. Says media manager Asana Ashim. Kuandyk Bishimbayev was born on the 11th of April, 1980th year, in the city of Kzyl Orda of the Kazakh USSR. His father, Velkan Bishimbayev, was a prominent public figure of Kazakhstan. From 2013 to 2016 years, he was a deputy of Manzilus, the lower house of the country's parliament. In 1999 year, Kuandyk Bishimbayev received his first higher education at the Kazakh State Academy of Management. In the 2001 year, he graduated from the Taraz State University, named after Dulati. Then he studied at George Washington University in the USA. In the year 2007, Bishimbayev received the degree of Candidate of Economic Sciences. The Kazakh press has repeatedly drawn attention to inconsistencies in Bishimbayev's public biography. It is impossible to get a bachelor's degree in 3 years and then graduate from 2 universities in different countries at once. Since the 2001 year, the 21-year-old Kuandyk began working in the banking sector. He took the position of chief manager at the Development Bank of Kazakhstan from 2000 to 2005 years. Held senior positions in various funds and corporations. Then Bishimbayev began his career in the government of Kazakhstan. In the 25th year, a 25-year-old young man immediately took the post of advisor to the Minister of Economy. And in the 27th year, he became Vice Minister of Industry and Trade. In the 2008 year, Kuandyk Bishimbayev began working in the presidential administration of the country, and the next year became an assistant to Nursultan Nazarbayev, who was the head of Kazakhstan in those years. A year later, in the 2010, he took the post of Vice Minister of Economic Development and Trade of Kazakhstan. In the 2012 year, Bishimbayev joined the board of directors of the Development Bank of Kazakhstan, and in the 2013 headed the board of the National Management Holding Bayterik. Many Kazakhs note that he was constantly shown on television as the youngest official. That is, he always stood out from the general background. Many called him a favorite of the then-president Nursultan Nazarbayev. The golden child quickly became one of the youngest ministers in the country, but held the position for only 8 months. He was dismissed because of a corruption scandal. The young minister was arrested. Bishimbayev was charged with committing crimes provided for in the articles for taking a bribe, embezzlement or embezzlement of someone else's property entrusted to him, as well as organizing the commission of a criminal offense. According to investigators, Bishimbayev was the head of the board of the Bayterik National Holding, even before his appointment as a minister, organized a criminal scheme to steal budget funds. During the construction of a plant for the production and processing of flat glass in Kizilorda through the subordinate company Hordai and its contractor organization, then Shymkent Himantaz. Bishimbayev, as chairman of the board of the Bayterik National Holding, also created a criminal scheme to receive bribes from construction companies for lobbying their interests, and involved his subordinates in this activity. In total, the former minister was charged with 8 facts of receiving bribes, and 1 fact of embezzlement of budget funds in the amount of 1/2 billion tenge. More than 250 million rubles, 7 bribes in the amount of 346 million tenge. More than 72 million rubles were received as part of the state program Nurli Zhal Bright Path for the construction of rental housing. The verdict of the Specialized Interdistrict Criminal Court of Astana, dated March 14, 2018 year. Bishimbayev was sentenced to 10 years in prison with life deprivation of the right to hold positions in the civil service, with confiscation of property. Bishimbayev apologized several times to ex-president Nursultan Nazarbayev for being in such a situation. The request was granted. 10 years of imprisonment on the sentence was replaced by 4. After that, the prisoner sent a request for parole. The court satisfied him. Bishimbayev was released in October of the 2019 year, having served only 1.5 years out of the appointed 10 years. He no longer held public positions. Bishimbayev himself said that after leaving prison, he earned from 8 to 15 million tenge per month. From 1.5 to 3 million rubles. This is the income that he received as a co-owner of the Bao restaurant in Astana. Remember this name, the building of the Gastro Center, in which the Bao restaurant is located, belongs to Tuyezi Park. Among the founders of the company is the mother of Bishimbayev, Elmira Nurlibekova. In addition to the businesswoman, the company is owned by the former managing director of GC Na Bayterik and deputy general director for financial affairs of Taklok Sergeant Madiv. First Vice Minister of Digital Development, Innovation and Aerospace Industry Kanish Tolushin, Tazbalat Abdullin, and Ali Osmanov. Bahajan Bazanov, a relative of Kuandyk on his mother's side, who is often called his brother, is listed as the director of the Gastroenter. Let's talk about the personal life of the former official. Kuandyk Bishimbayev was married twice. The first wife is Nazimka Harman. Kuandyk Bishimbayev was married to her for 14 years. The former spouses raised 4 children, 3 sons and a younger daughter. During the corruption trial, Nazim Bishimbayeva acted as a public defender of her spouse. The couple divorced in the 2020 year, after Bishimbayev was released from prison. The second wife was Saltanat Nukenova, who was younger than Bishimbayev by 12 years. Saltanat was born on the 15th of May, 1992nd year in Pavlodar. Graduated from high school, college, and university. We are not a family of billionaires. There were times when it was difficult. Parents gave their best in business for 200%. So I left for America thanks to their support. Salta went to study in England, says her brother Bishimbayev. Saltana became an astrologer. She made natal charts, made predictions, helped with the choice of profession. She blogged on a banned social network. It was the activity of Saltanat Nukenova that attracted the future husband of Kuandyk Bishimbayev. According to relatives, Nukenova was a self-sufficient woman. She did not depend on her family, did not ask for money, and achieved everything on her own. She regularly upgraded her qualifications in astrology, was trained. Saltanat dreamed of becoming a TV presenter and attended auditions. A friend showed me an astrologer. A pretty girl. I was expecting to see a grandmother of about 50, looking like a shaman. I tried to make an appointment once, but the assistant said that she does not accept men. Then Camilla, a friend of Kuandyk Bishimbayev, went to the reception. Saltanat told her that she broke up with a guy, the wedding broke down, and my friend just said, "There is such a man who saw you. Does he like you? Would he like to meet you?" The ex-official will tell you later. They met in 2022nd year. 3 months later, in December 2022nd year, they got married, but the relationship was never officially formalized. They conducted the Muslim rite of nikah. Saltanat's cousin assures that she initially treated Kuandyk Bishimbayev negatively. In August 2022nd year, we met Saltanat and our third sister. Saltanat said that a guy wants to meet her. Bishimbayev Kuandyk, former minister. Sudim was married. That he sent his girlfriend Camilla. I reacted negatively. I didn't like the biography of this man. I was against it, Nukenova said. After some time, Saltanat sent her sister a photo with a ring on her finger, and Aner, according to her, again expressed a negative opinion about the chosen one. After the wedding, Saltanat began to communicate with his friends and sisters much less often. Immediately after the ceremony, the bride's wires are tied. The design of the hall, for which Aner was engaged, suddenly there was an unexpected conflict. An employee of the Oscar restaurant calls me at 1 o'clock in the morning after Uzatu. Says, "Nura, what is it? Kuandyk was swearing at me here, dragging me around on such mats." Then Salta called, also asking what happened. Then Kuandyk immediately called me and began to tell me in a threatening, bullying tone. They say, "What is it? Why didn't I have artificial flowers, but live ones?" Although before that, in front of witnesses, we agreed that there would be fresh flowers, Aner said. After that, Sister Saltanat tried to limit communication with her sister's chosen one. And soon she had to practically stop communicating with her cousin herself. And at the request of the latter. "And Nurchik, don't write to me, otherwise Kuandyk will read it." Saltanat Nukenova wrote to her sister. She also asked Aner for a loan of money several times. But the sisters managed to meet very rarely. On her personal page in the social network, Saltanat Nukenova herself wrote then, "The most golden husband. Has never regretted saying yes. I'm ready to roll the dough for him from morning to evening. That is, to cook." In the Kazakh national tradition, this is what a good wife should do. Saltanat said that he was a demanding Bishimbayev, that he was 24/7 with her. I invited her to go shopping. Before that, we often went shopping together. But then she says to me, "No, I'm only with Kuandyk," Aner shares. Before her marriage, according to her sister, Saltanat was not inclined to drink large doses of alcohol, nor to aggressive or anxious behavior. But after her marriage, she changed. In July 2023 year, she told us that she could not meet with us because she was constantly bruised. Under his control, that she could not just leave. I envy you so much. I also so want to go out and sit somewhere freely. But I can't with him. She was restless at the birthday party. She was constantly worried about what he would say, how he would react. Saltanat came to her birthday in black clothes. The sister noted that she would never have dressed like this for a holiday before. Also, Saltanat's eyes were swollen from tears. Later, in rare meetings with relatives, Saltanat, according to Einar, was often dressed in black. The woman managed to establish warm communication with her husband's children from a previous marriage. A few months later, in March of the 23rd year, Saltanat sent her brother Eitbik a photo with bruises on his face. She asked to save the pictures, delete the correspondence, and do nothing. Despite his sister's request, Eitbik came to Bishimbayev's apartment to pick her up. The meeting ended with a loud scandal, after which Eitbik and Kuandyk stopped communicating. And Saltanat herself practically stopped communicating with her brother. In the future, Bishimbayev will try to turn this conflict to his advantage. We'll talk about this later. I told her, let's go home, get ready, you don't need all this. She replied that she would figure it out herself, that she was an adult independent woman. And that she loves Kuandyk, says Eitbik Anjaldi. Also in court, he reads out correspondence with Saltanat, in which he repeatedly asked his sister to leave her common-law husband. He'll kill you. You're a hostage there. It's like being in a prison with a warden. Sitting at home with bruises is not love. He broke you. To which Saltanat replied, it's my own fault. Other witnesses also say that the bullying took place systematically. I arrived at their house, Saltanat came out. But she was without a suitcase, and the first thing I noticed was that she was very upset. She sat forward, I turned my head to Saltanat, and I see that on her left side there were traces of strangulation, traces of ropes. She had bruises all over her left side. I immediately thought of the bad. We sat down in a coffee shop. During the conversation, she talked about the fact that Kuandyk is a tyrant. He is 24/7 next to her, does not allow her to communicate with her friends, with her sisters, that she is constantly under his control. We sat for about 2 or 3 hours, and all this time she was very upset, telling more about their relationship. That they have constant quarrels, and that he controls her, recalled Onara Tesova, a former assistant of Nukenova. Saltanat tried to leave Kuandyk several times. She even rented an apartment where she was going to move from her husband. As it will become known much later, she was afraid to break up with her civil husband completely, because he blackmailed her with an intimate video. Aida Akhmadina and Saltanat told her friend how Bishimbayev manipulated her into making a video, promising that after that they would break up. He said he wouldn't let me go, like my family has a photo with beatings, and like we're going to blackmail him. And he asked me to make a video of me naked, so that he also had leverage on me. And that this is his guarantee, that no one will blackmail him. As a result, it was this video that became the fatal circumstance that made Saltanat a hostage of Bishimbayev. He allegedly threatened to post the recording on the internet. In Kazakhstan, great attention is paid to honor and dignity, purity of women's reputation. If she is seen in intimate videos, she will be subjected to pressure and targeting. In August 2023 year, but Nukenova went to her parents in Pavlodar. I'm going to Pavlodar for good. There are no feelings, I don't want to save anything, and I can't. You haven't apologized for your betrayal. He blamed me for everything, and insisted on a therapist. You're so blind that I can't stand it. I'm sorry, forget it. For myself, I put a bold dot, the girl wrote in her notes. At that time, Bishimbayev convinced her to return. Saltanat's brother said that in just 2023 year, Saltanat left Kuandyk Bishimbayev at least 8 times. At the beginning of October 2023 year, she informed her relatives that she had finally decided to part with her common-law spouse. Her brother helped her find a rental apartment and bring her things. The next news, according to his brother, came as a shock to the whole Saltanat family. On October 26, 2023 year, my mother sent me photos of the Nikah Saltanat ceremony. in the main mosque of Astana. I was shocked by this news, and my mother was surprised that Saltanat went again and made a nickname with a Kuandyk. We found out about this on the 26th, and Nika himself, as far as I know, happened on the 20th 21st. There were friends. I was not at this event. It turns out that on the 20th 21st of October, they began to converge again. The girl's brother said the last time her parents saw her alive was at the beginning of November 2023. Then there was a family dinner, to which Kuandyk invited our parents and his parents to the Bao restaurant. It was the 4th or 5th of November. Saltana and I called up that day, as I was taking my parents to them, but we never saw her. My parents spent about 6 hours there, then came to me. They were happy that everything went well, everything was calm. Saltanat was calm, there was no tension that evening. On the evening of the 8th of November, 2023 year, 31-year-old Saltanat Nukenova, along with her friend and Kuandyk Bishimbayev, went to Dima Bilan's concert at the Central Concert Hall of Kazakhstan in Astana. During the concert, the couple quarreled. Without waiting for the end of Bilan's performance, the couple went to the Bao restaurant in the Gastro Center, the one that belonged to Bishimbayev's relatives and in which he owned a share himself. In the institution, they quarreled again. According to investigators, the girl said that she was tired of the relationship and wanted to leave. At 040 hours, she wrote to her brother about it. "I'll be right there. I'm leaving Kuandyk." She promised to come to him for the night and called a taxi. But she never got into it. According to her brother, she had an upset voice, she was crying. The brother replied that he was at home and she could come at any time. At the same time, he checked the geolocation of the girl's phone and made sure that she was in the gastroenterology center. 24 minutes later, at 1:04, my brother wrote a message, asked when Saltanat would arrive. An hour later, at 2:05, she read the message. Then there was a call from her phone. Her brother called back, but she dropped the call. When at 2:05, Eitbik checked the location of his sister's phone again. It turned out that she was already in the neighboring Talent Towers building, where the Ritz-Carlton Hotel is located. Eitbik decided that his sister went there to spend the night because she didn't want to upset him. In the morning at 7:46, he texted his sister, "Where are you?" According to geolocation, her phone was still in the Talent Towers area, and her brother decided that Saltanat was still asleep. This message, sent in the morning, was suddenly marked as read at lunchtime. My brother tells me, at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, I was at home. My friend Saltanat Linara called me. She started asking me in a very excited voice, "Is this true or not true?" I said, "Calm down, what's going on?" She sent me a message, some kind of police report, that on November 9th, Bishimbayev Kuandyk killed Nukenova Saltanat. I read it and thought it was probably some kind of duck. I went to investigate. I started calling Saltanat, she didn't answer. I looked at the location, the phone was already at her house on Tehran Avenue. On the way, he called Kuandyk Bishimbayev, Bahajan Bazanov, Kuandyk's brother, the director of the Gastroenterology Center. But their phones were silent. At Saltanat's house, he was greeted by dark windows. No one answered the knock on the door either. After that, Eitbik Amanjaldi called the number 102, said that he was worried about his sister, and received strange messages about her death. And then the information about the death of his sister was officially confirmed for the first time. Then Eitbik took a taxi and went to the Gastro Center. And at this time, Saltanat's parents also began to receive messages about their daughter's death. The father called Eitbik, asked him to find out what was going on. When I arrived at the Gastro Center, I was told that it was impossible to go upstairs and sent to the investigators. They asked who I was, and I replied that I was a brother. They say, "You can't go there are criminologists there." Saltanat was killed. And I asked, "Is he, Bishimbayev, there too?" They replied, "No, he has already been taken away." I gathered my thoughts, called my father, said, "Yes, Dad, it's true. Salta was killed by Kuandyk. I was probably on speakerphone and heard my mom screaming. On the same day, November 9th, 2023 year, Bishimbayev was detained on suspicion of murdering his wife. On November 11th, he was arrested. Later, the term of detention was extended several times. The ex-minister is accused of torture and murder committed with extreme cruelty. On the same day, November 11th, Saltanat Nukenova was buried in her hometown of Pavlodar. Many strangers came to say goodbye to her, shocked by the story of the girl's murder. On March 27, 2023, the main trial with jury participation in the case of the ex-minister of National Economy of Kazakhstan, Kuandyk Bishimbayev, accused of murdering his common-law wife, began in the Specialized Interdistrict Criminal Court of Astana. The court is chaired by Judge Izan Kulbeva. Bishimbayev is charged under the articles of torture, murder committed with extreme cruelty, and recidivism of a particularly serious crime. The accused pleaded not guilty to any of the charges. At one of the court sessions, Bishimbayev told what, in his opinion, happened on the day of Nukenova's death. The man smiled and even laughed, for which the judge reprimanded him. According to the lawyer, he did this because he recalled those happy moments of life that they had experienced together. During the first part of the court session, ex-minister Kuandyk Bishimbayev voiced his version of what happened on the 8th-9th of November, 2023 year. Everything was calm. We went into the concert hall, and there were no prerequisites for a quarrel. A friend saw me in the foyer and kissed me on the cheek. Saltanat started to get nervous, asked who she was. I replied that it was my colleague. We went into the hall. On the way, she asked to order champagne. I asked the restaurant to bring 3 large glasses and stayed outside. Later, we went to VIP room number 5 and ordered a bottle of champagne. We didn't quarrel, I just listened to her for 3 hours, all her claims and insults. Their main point was that I went alone to Turkey, corresponded with other women, I was seen here and there. Salta said, "I'm going to leave myself now, but I didn't leave." Our dialogue lasted 3 hours. We had already had a decent drink by this time. 3 bottles of champagne. She suddenly jumped up and started calling a taxi. I didn't hold her, but I told her to think, and not to cut from the shoulder. We talked for 3 hours in the VIP lounge, and then for another hour on the street. She could have left, but she didn't. Bishimbayev said that after the concert, he and his wife went to a restaurant. There she allegedly tried to hurt him and make him lose his temper. I took off the pendant he gave me. She started taking off her earrings, wedding ring, watch, bracelet, and threw everything into the toilet. I didn't know what to do and went towards the bar, where I took another bottle of alcohol. The painters were working. I asked them if they had a lighter. Because I had a stressful situation with me, I wanted to smoke. They said no. I went into the VIP. I wanted to open the toilet door. I look, it closed from the inside. From there, some noise was heard, screams, as if hitting the wall. Matt. Rewind. I started knocking on the door, and then I started beating with my fists. Then I hit it with a tripod, and a hole appeared. Then Saltanat opened the door. She started shouting at me, and I also shouted obscenities. She rushed at me, tore my shirt. I pushed her, she hit the wall. The accused claims that Nukenova accidentally injured herself in the toilet, and he gave her only 2 slaps in the face. She began to remove the chains, the wedding ring, the watch, the bracelet. These were symbolic gifts. Each item was lovingly presented by me. She takes everything and throws it down the toilet. At that moment, I was emotionally hurt. There, the things themselves were expensive, and they were presented with love. The earrings were worn on the kizuzada of the bride's wire to a new family, by my mother. The bracelet was my first gift, Bishimbayev said. I couldn't stand it, I slapped her. When she rushed again, I also tore her shirt. She got angry and started taking off her shirt. These clothes were just bought before the concert. When she pulled down her pants, I got angry and let her go. It turned out to be a counterweight. She thought I was going to hold and pulled. And I let go. Her pants flew off, she lost her balance, began to fall towards the toilet. She flew first against the wall and fell face down on the toilet. It was a very strong blow. She bounced off the toilet and fell to the tiled floor. I was taken aback. She was lying next to the toilet for 10 or 15 seconds, Bishimbayev said. The second beating of Nukenova took place around 7 in the morning in the lobby of the restaurant. This is evidenced by the recordings from CCTV cameras. The accused does not deny the beatings. I grabbed her by the hair, gave her 4 strong slaps in the face. 2 with the left hand, 2 with the right. She must have fallen at that moment. When she fell, I kicked her 3 or 4 times on the thigh, on the buttock. I was clearly aware that no vital organ should be touched. I kicked her 4 times. "Get up, what are you?" I was angry and started lifting her by the hair, he confessed. After that, Bishimbayev dragged Nukenova by the hair to the VIP booth of the restaurant, where there are no CCTV cameras. What happened there is unknown. The living Saltanat did not come out of there. After that, the girl, according to him, tried to get up, but fell and again hit the tiled floor with her face. She beat her knees on the floor and on the walls. Soon she lay down on the sofa, and the accused himself went out for water, and then fell asleep next to her. When he woke up the next morning, Saltanat was asleep and snoring. Then his brother Bazanov arrived, ostensibly to take the couple home. Bishimbayev wrapped the girl with a blanket so that another man would not see her naked. According to him, the girl was still holding her neck, moving her arms. We lifted her by the hands, with Bazanov we lifted her by the hands. She was moving. She had reflexes, she held her neck. Her snoring was disappearing, as if she was waking up. We walked 5 or 6 meters to the VIP's door. I thought she was going to disperse now, take steps. She moved her legs, and that she would wake up, but this did not happen. She was like a drunk, tired person, a dead drunk person who can't wake up, but mumbles something. I tried to wake her up, but she didn't wake up. But she stopped snoring. I thought, the snoring has passed, a deep sleep has passed, she wakes up. I let go probably, she will wake up already. I'll text you when he wakes up, and you'll take us home. I started to wake Saltanat, and noticed that her face had become cool. I began to feel her cheeks, they became cool. I realized that the temperature had changed. I began to feel the body, it was the same. I began to feel for a pulse, but I couldn't find it. I thought maybe I was drunk, I couldn't find a pulse. I called Bikajan, I said, maybe you can find it. But he also says I can't find it. I told him, call an ambulance. He started calling an ambulance. Bishimbayev assures that she fell asleep in the booth and did not wake up. He said that when he allegedly thought she had fallen asleep, he covered Saltanat with a jacket. She was naked. I thought, okay, she's going to wake up now, and I didn't feel her pulse. And instead of calling an ambulance, a clairvoyant called and asked if Salta was alive. She replied, now she will oversleep and wake up. The ambulance arrived and it started. They started doing resuscitation measures. I just got lost and went to the kitchen. He took a knife. I had only one thought. It's better if I kill myself. Then the police came. That's all the circumstances, summed up Bishimbayev. But what really happened on the night of the 8th to the 9th of November, 2023 year in the Bao restaurant, after the couple, having quarreled, left Dima Bilan's concert? It turned out that Bishimbayev was beating Saltanat throughout the night. For the first time in the restaurant toilet. In court, the lawyers of the victim's family showed a photo of a watch and bracelet that Nukenova allegedly took off and threw into the toilet. According to the results of the examination, these items were torn from her hands. The amount of alcohol in the blood and urine of the victim, according to the examination, was insignificant. Therefore, it is impossible to say that she was unconscious at that time. In order for a comminuted fracture of the nose, so that it crumbles, forms, it is necessary to hit a person on the toilet. The forensic expert Takir Halimnazarov stated during the meeting. When the video from surveillance cameras was shown in the courtroom, which clearly shows how the man beat his wife, he did not change his testimony. At some point, the defendant's lawyers asked to pay attention to the fact that Bishimbayev beat Saltanat with his palm, and she hit her head against the wall herself. The second beating of Nukenova took place around 7 in the morning in the lobby of the restaurant, as evidenced by CCTV footage. From the materials of the court, being intoxicated and taking advantage of his physical superiority. In the lobby of the restaurant, Bishimbayev inflicted a series of crushing blows on the woman's head with his fists, from which she fell to the floor. After that, he began kicking her with his feet. Trying to escape, the girl locked herself in one of the rooms, but Bishimbayev knocked down the door and beat her again. Bishimbayev grabbed Nukenova by the throat and began to strangle her, causing the latter to lose consciousness and die on the spot. State prosecutor Izan Amaganova said. In continuation, the prosecutor stated that already on November 9th, Bishimbayev called the director of the gastroenter Bazanov and ordered him to come to work. In addition, Bishimbayev ordered him to dismiss the restaurant staff as well as remove all video materials in the restaurant. Later, experts will be able to restore deleted records. Knowing that Nukenova's brother was tracking her geolocation by phone, Bishimbayev instructed Bazanov to build an alibi for himself, to take the girl's phone to their home, and on the way to stop by with the phone at the Fitness Palace and the CDC of Kazakhstan, to leave traces of geolocation of Nukenova's imaginary location in these places. Bazanov fulfilled these instructions. Arriving, Bazanov saw Nukenova, who was unconscious. At Bishimbayev's request, they raised Nukenova. The girl was laid on the sofa. A few hours later, Bazanov discovered that Nukenova had died. The call to the ambulance came from Bazanov at 1955, more than 12 hours after the beating. At 21:40, the medics finished examining the body. At that time, the degree of rigor mortis was well developed, from which experts come to the conclusion that death occurred at least 6 to 8 hours before the moment of discovery, the lawyer explained to the victim's family. Zhana Urubakova. On the same day, the ex-official was arrested. As follows from the expert's conclusion: Saltanat Nukenova died from a traumatic brain injury. Nukenova's death occurred as a result of a closed craniocerebral injury accompanied by an acute subdural hematoma in the right frontotemporal parietal occipital region. The left parietal occipital region, followed by the development of dislocation syndrome, of the insertion of the cerebellar tonsils into the large occipital foramen, caused a violation, and then the termination of the functions of the central nervous system, cardiac arrest and respiration, which was the direct cause of death, the examination says. There were multiple abrasions and bruises on Nukenova's face and body. She also had a broken nose. In total, it took the lawyer as much as 10 minutes to read out the conclusion. So many injuries and details were listed in it. At the same time, on April 16, 2024, Bishimbayev's lawyers announced in court the conclusion of Russian forensic medicine experts from the Pirogov Russian National Research Medical University in Moscow. Russian experts have refuted the conclusions of Kazakhstani experts that Nukenova died as a result of severe traumatic brain injury. In addition to Bishimbayev, Ibakajan Bazanov was detained on November 11, 2023. He is accused of concealing a particularly serious crime and failing to report a serious crime. It is noteworthy that Bazanov said about the pressure from his cousin. In particular, he said that a social activist Borzan Musin came to him in jail, allegedly on behalf of Bishimbayev. He constantly said that the examination showed that she was drunk. She was drunk, the defendant claims. Also, according to Bishimbayev, Musin tried to arrange a meeting with the ex-minister, pulling him out of the cell after lights out. Earlier, the director of the gastro center asked that he sit separately from a relative during the meetings. He puts pressure on me in every way. So tell me about the testimony, Bishimbayev explained. It should be recalled that this trial is open. Kuandyk Bishimbayev himself asked for the openness of the process, being confident that he would be able to prove that he committed a crime unintentionally. For the same reason, he requested that his case be considered by a jury. Many agree that Bishimbayev hopes to win over the conservative part of society, for which the concept of yad is important. Public condemnation of a person who does not conform to moral norms. Yad in relation to a woman is any inappropriate behavior. For example, wearing a short skirt, contradicting her husband, not bowing to older relatives, getting divorced, and even marrying a foreigner. Perfectly understanding this, Bishimbayev says in court, "She threw away the earrings that my mother gave her. She drank alcohol," emphasizing that she suffered from addiction. Although the forensic examination showed a low alcohol content in the blood and urine of the victim, the very use of alcohol by a woman, disrespect for her mother-in-law, are unacceptable for Kazakhs. She dated married men before her marriage. She said she needed financial support, the accused claims. Bishimbayev constantly emphasizes that he gave gifts, trying to expose Nukenova as an escort. Allegedly, she only fell for money. That's not true. And what does that have to do with the murder? Media manager Asana Ashim is outraged. Bishimbayev arranges a show not for us, but for the jury. He puts pressure on stereotypes, on markers that define good and bad women, says Malder Alban from the Public Foundation Light. Unfortunately, in our country, people still pay attention to whether the bride is clean or not. Even if it doesn't matter to the man himself, it matters to the family. And they, family members, can insult the daughter-in-law, say that she has the wrong reputation, and that she did not marry a virgin. In some areas, they can still pull out the sheet after the wedding night and check if there really was blood. As explained by researchers Galim Zhusibik and Zhanar Nagayeva in their article, The Rights of Kelen in Central Asia. All 30 years after the collapse of the USSR, conservative sentiments have been increasing in Kazakh society. In the restoration of traditions that include yad, many see the revival of true Kazakhnas, which is opposed to Sovietism. These ideas are supported by both men and women. Among other things, Bishimbayev said that Saltanats were obscenities, which, according to tradition, is also unacceptable for a woman. Their correspondence, read out during the trial, suggests the opposite. There is no mat in it, but you can see how politely and even helpfully Saltanat communicated with her husband. On the 8th of November, Bishimbayev writes, "Salta, you ordered me a deodorant. I forgot as usual. I ordered Janam, dear. They will bring it now, please forgive me," the prosecutor reads aloud. Bishimbayev also stated at the trial that the victim allegedly suffered from borderline personality disorder. He tries to make her look hysterical, unbalanced, that she was always arranging scenes of jealousy for him, controlling and so on. And everything he did himself, he attributes to her. This is a typical move of an abuser, human rights activist Malder Alban finds out. In addition, Bishimbayev tried to turn to his advantage the conflict with his brother Saltanat, which occurred in March 2023, when Aitbik arrived at the apartment where his sister lived with Bishimbayev to take her home. The youngest daughter and son of Kuandyk from his first marriage lived in the same apartment. According to the story of Nazimki Arman, the defendant's ex-wife, in March 2023 year, one of the nights, there was a fight witnessed by children. The daughter sent her mother disturbing messages. In one of the social networks, reports began to spread that Aitbik raped their 10-year-old daughter together with Kuandyk Bishimbayev. In turn, the ex-wife reacted to these messages, saying that the post with accusations against Saltanat Nukenova's brother Aitbik Bishimbayev was slander. She added that she did not know and was not a friend to the brother of the deceased Saltanat Nukenova. The children were interrogated, after which it was concluded that Aitbik Bishimbayev had not violated any law with respect to the children. Prosecutor Unsolved Nukenova has also become popular. Unknown people even tried to fake her page on social networks, to which 19,000 people immediately subscribed. Later, the prosecutor confirmed the authenticity of her own page in her real account. By the way, against the background of recent events, Unsolved Nukenova, who opposes the bureaucratic elite, has gained unprecedented popularity. Hundreds of people speak out in support of her in social networks. Saltanat Aitbik Bishimbayev's brother, who also stands for a maximum openness of the process. While relatives of victims of domestic violence usually try not to spread the fact that something was wrong in their family. After all, this is also a poison. Many users of social networks pay attention to how difficult it is for victims during the process. Since the judge does not stop Bishimbayev when he talks about the allegedly inappropriate behavior of his wife, which is not confirmed by the facts. In one of his speeches, Aitbik Bishimbayev pointed out that in Pavlodar, where the Nukenova family lives, unlike Shymkent, the hometown of the Bishimbayev family, women are not beaten. This is an important regional detail. According to statistics, there is more violence against women in more conservative regions in the south and west of Kazakhstan. Bishimbayev admitted it, kicked several times, slapped, hit on the head. But his whole family is convinced that he is innocent. For them, this is the norm. It's very scary. The issue of combating domestic violence is a sore point for Kazakhstan. At least 80 women die every year at the hands of family aggressors. Every day, the police receive 300 statements from victims. Everyone says that if Bishimbayev is not imprisoned or put in jail for a short time, then all the women of Kazakhstan should pack their bags and leave. If he, you can say, killed a woman on the air, everyone saw it, and nothing will happen to him for it, then that's it. Any man can do what he wants, says media manager Asana Ashim. The public outcry that arose in connection with the murder of Saltanat Nukenova influenced the adoption of the law on domestic violence. It has already been approved in the Senate and is only waiting for the president's signature. In Kazakhstan, he has the same fate as in Russia. Since 2020 year, the document was discussed, but the matter was limited to conversations. The brutal murder of Nukenova shocked society in Kazakhstan in November 2023 year. Women launched an action on social networks demanding tougher punishment and drawing attention to the problem of domestic violence. In particular, the girls posted photos on social networks with makeup imitating traces of beatings, and told stories from personal experience under hashtags, "Change the law," "Stop the violence," "Don't be silent," "Toughen the punishment." After the start of court actions and the publication of Bishimbayev's testimony, Kazakhstani women launched a new flash mob. They were outraged by the words of the accused and his lawyers that the deceased allegedly drank wine and led a debauched lifestyle. On the 4th of April, the initiative group launched the Write a Letter to Parliament campaign under the hashtag Saltanat Law for the criminalization of violence and the adoption of a bill to ensure the rights of women and the safety of children. Kuandyk Bishimbayev faces a prison sentence of 15 years to life imprisonment for murder, plus from 4 to 7 years for torture. Bishimbayev's defense tried to change the qualification of the crime to a less serious one, but the court refused her this. Bahajan Bazanov can get up to 6 years in prison for concealment, and the same amount for failure to report a serious crime. For Bishimbayev to be found guilty, at least 5 jurors and a judge must vote for it. But for the ultimate measure of a life sentence, the decision must be unanimous. Bishimbayev denies his guilt in the brutal murder, but admits involvement in the death of his common-law wife. I'm not saying I'm innocent, and I'm not admitting guilt. I would like to clarify that I do not plead guilty to the premeditated, deliberate murder of Saltanat. I understand that this is an irreparable loss, and I know that I am involved in these circumstances, he said in his speech. At the same time, according to the ex-minister, all the relatives and Saltanat's brother staged a campaign to distort information. Prejudice is allegedly formed against him by any distortions.